In this WrestleTalk news, there's 3 more rumored big returns at this weekend's Survivor Series, a huge update on the relationship between WWE and New Japan, a WWE star was nearly in the MCU, and more.
Support WrestleTalk!
On Monday's Raw, it was announced that the 5th and final member of Bianca Belair's team for War Games this Saturday would be revealed on SmackDown. Why this Raw storyline based on the Raw Women's Championship and featuring wrestlers exclusively from the Raw brand is taking place on SmackDown is quite beyond me. I talked more about this on the Raw review yesterday, and even more so on the Raw podcast that myself and Dan later did over on the WrestleTalk podcast channel. Fightful Select reported ahead of Raw that Becky Lynch would be back with WWE soon, having been off TV since SummerSlam with a separated shoulder. Not only that, but they added that Lynch was discussed and planned as the 5th partner in the Survivor Series War Games match. Fightful noted in their report that creative plans can often change, but now PW Insider is backing up on Sean Ross Sapp's story, saying that Lynch is slated to be at Survivor Series this weekend, and her being there would put her in the pole position of being the 5th person on Bianca Belair's team. There were other rumored names for that 5th spot, including Charlotte Flair and Candice LeRae, the latter of which was slated to be in the match prior to her injury, according to Dave Meltzer, as well as Naomi and Sasha Banks, who both walked out on the company back in May following disagreements over creative. The speculation on Banks was furthered over the weekend when WWE released an image promoting Survivor Series with a hooded figure in place of the 5th member that appeared to have Sasha Banks' trademark blue hair. Mike Johnson of PW Insider noted, "For those who have asked about Naomi, Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks, we have not heard anything about them being at Survivor Series at this point in time." But Becky isn't the only name currently doing the rounds of returning at Survivor Series. And if you're enjoying this video and it's your first time here, why not press the subscribe button? We post daily wrestling news videos here on WrestleTalk. We'll have a full review of Survivor Series this weekend, and we posted our predictions for the show yesterday, with the winner of Pete and Tempest becoming the #1 contender to this, my Jam That Championship at the Royal Rumble in January. Back to Survivor Series though, and PW Insider also added that The Undertaker will be backstage at Survivor Series this weekend along with his wife, Michelle McCool. Taker debuted for WWE at the Survivor Series and retired from the sport 30 years after that debut in 2020, even though there was no one in the building due to the pandemic. 2020 really does feel like a fever dream at times. Those who might think this could be one final goodbye from WWE fans actually in attendance this time might be disappointed, however, as Johnson adds in his report that Taker and McCool will just be backstage, and likely Taker is there because his One Dead Man show on November 25th, the day before Survivor Series, is in Boston, which is the same location as the pay-per-view. Also likely just set to be backstage and not on camera is Maurice, who Mike Johnson of PW Insider reports will also be at Survivor Series. As to why she is there, Johnson writes there's no word on whether she'll be appearing on camera at the event. It is always possible she'll be filming for future episodes of Ms. and Mrs. So while we have reports on Becky Lynch, The Undertaker, Maurice and Michelle McCool returning to WWE, there's a WWE name that will be returning to New Japan.
You know what's great about YouTube videos? The titles. And here at WrestleTalk we have a title format that's well known. Some might call it established. That's right, it's Established Titles Week here at WrestleTalk. What a segue, me! For this week, Established Titles will be sponsoring the WrestleTalk news, and we get to tell you about the great work they're doing, not just in providing a very cool gift, but their work in helping heal the planet. If you click our link in the description below and use the code WrestleTalk on checkout, you can get an additional 10% off your order, in addition to the huge Black Friday sale they're running. But what are Established Titles? Based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are called lairds. You can make yourself, or someone you want to give a gift, a lord or lady for realsies. Purchasing a title pack gives the receiver a 1-foot square plot of land in Scotland with a certificate and crest to make their lord or ladyship official, which means you can genuinely update your credit card, plane tickets, dating profiles, and anything else with lord or lady before it. And for every purchase, Established Titles works with one tree planted and trees for the future to help global reforestation efforts, which is why we're so happy to have Established Titles Week here at WrestleTalk. The first 200 people to click the link below will have their plot essentially next to mine in Scotland, meaning we can start the WrestleTalk Kingdom and begin our plan to take over the world. And you get 10% off using the code WrestleTalk at checkout too, on top of their massive Black Friday sale. Tune back in tomorrow for the next day of Established Titles Week here at WrestleTalk. Title that title. See you tomorrow.
Karl Anderson, along with his good brother Doc Gallows, returned to WWE last month to further AJ Styles' storyline against the Judgment Day. There was one slight problem with this return, however, which is that Anderson was the never openweight champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Anderson is in fact still the never openweight champion. He was supposed to defend the belt at Battle Autumn against Hikuleo, but the problem there was that it was on the same day as WWE's Crown Jewel, which Anderson wrestled on as part of the OC against Judgment Day. Anderson said in a video on social media that NJPW never actually approached him about the match, but New Japan issued a statement saying the booking was made through the appropriate channels and with Anderson's expressed approval, adding NJPW has for the past several days attempted to negotiate with Anderson but has not been met with a response. Should Anderson decide to renege on his scheduled championship match, he will be required to vacate the never openweight championship and return the belt to New Japan Pro Wrestling immediately. Anderson did not wrestle at Battle Autumn, with Hikuleo instead beating Anderson's Bullet Club running mate Takahashi in less than 30 seconds. But as it currently stands, Anderson is still the never openweight champion, and he did not vacate the belt as New Japan requested he do so. Anderson then announced over the weekend that he will be returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling along with Doc Gallows at the World Tag and Super Junior Tag League Finals on December 14th. Not only that, but he will defend the title and even tease that Uncle Alan AJ Styles could join them. Still no word whether they'll defend those Quizzlemania Tag Team Championships at any point though. Fightful Select reported last month that Gallows and Anderson would be heading back to New Japan and that NJPW were aware they were signing with WWE back in August. Sean Ross Sapp notes a plan was put in order to have Anderson work dates around his WWE schedule and advanced storylines. Sapp also adds those that we've spoken to said the plan is still for Anderson to work more dates beyond this title defense in December, noting that he's always been penciled in and planning to work the Tokyo Dome show. According to Fightful, the Good Brothers had committed to those dates before they left Impact. If Gallows and Anderson do appear at the Tokyo Dome show on January 4th, that would mean next year's Wrestle Kingdom would see talent from New Japan, Stardom, WWE, and All Elite Wrestling appearing on the show. As Kenny Omega revealed over the weekend, he will be facing Will Ospreay for the United States Championship on Jan 4th. The forbidden doors continue to be creaked open. Speaking of the OC, the group was recently joined by the returning Mia Yim, who will take part in the Women's War Games match this weekend as part of Team Belair against Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. However, she wasn't Mia Yim for very long. Because Yim owns the trademark on her name, she's starting to get referred to instead on TV as Michin, which is Korean for crazy. And according to the lady herself, it was something her mother called her when she was a kid. At first, it was just assumed this would be a nickname for Yim, but then WWE.com renamed her profile to Michin, and even amended her history with the company suggests that's been her name this entire time, writing Michin first turned heads in WWE during the inaugural Mae Young Classic in 2017. However, less than 24 hours later, she was back on WWE.com as Mia Yim. To play devil's avocado here, this might not be a case of WWE changing their minds, and more just a case the website team misunderstood that this was a nickname rather than a full-time name change, and then corrected the error when it was made clear. Or it's just classic WWE changed their minds lol. Yim and Co might have had an easier time against the Judgment Day though, if one of them had gone to the MCU instead. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever has been blowing up the box office since its release a couple of weeks ago, earning over $500 million worldwide. The film follows on from the first Black Panther movie and deals with the passing of its lead actor Chadwick Boseman, while also introducing no one's favorite Marvel villain Namor. There will be people who will comment on this video saying they like Namor, but don't believe them. They're lying to themselves and you. But why am I here talking about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever on the WrestleTalk News? This isn't the weekly show I do with Dan Layton for Cineworld where we review the latest movies. Well, the reason I'm doing so is, according to Fightful Select, a WWE star was invited to read for the movie. Sean Ross Sapp reports that Damien Priest was asked to come in and audition for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Not only was he asked to audition for the role, he was asked to audition for no one's favorite Marvel villain Namor, essentially one of the lead characters in the movie. Fightful have been unable to confirm whether the audition actually took place, but an inquiry was certainly made. Priest would have been the second big WWE name in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Batista featuring in the Guardians of the Galaxy series as Drax the Destroyer. He wouldn't have been alone either, as Deadline Hollywood reported earlier this year that Becky Lynch will be joining the MCU for a Disney Plus series and was rumored at one point to be on the set for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Bianca Belair has spoken openly about wanting to play Storm when Marvel do their X-Men movie, and Liv Morgan said in an interview that one of her life goals is to be part of the MCU. Who else from WWE would you like to see in the MCU? Let me know in the comments down below. In some NXT news now, and the closing of the show saw Wes Lee, fresh off successfully defending his North American Championship, get attacked by the returning Dominik Dijakovic, who is now going by just Dijak, shortened version of his indie name Donovan Dijak, and is thankfully without any of the retribution guff around him. However, the biggest news coming out of this week's NXT is that a main roster star has moved to the developmental brand with that new gimmick, Scrypts. The tease of Scrypts have been going on for some time in NXT, but the debut didn't quite fall in line with those videos. What we instead got was a wacky orange masked man doing flips and leaving playing cards on Guru Raj. It was quite clear that this was former 24/7 champion and former sommelier to Carmelo Reggie. But to say this debut went down poorly would be an understatement. Scrypts ended up trending on Twitter, but for all the wrong reasons. Hollywood Hangman wrote, "Scrypts is the most dead-on-arrival gimmick I've seen since Kizani. WWE should be embarrassed for allowing gear and a mask that bad looking on their programming, and this should die immediately." Fightful's Kate tweeted, "Scrypts is Reggie, a luchador hacker who leaves game show host cards on his opponent after he defeats them. Ha 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 ha." While Denise Salcedo noted, "With the build to Scrypts of the voicemails and the vandalism, I did not picture this look, and I was not expecting Reggie."
In this WrestleTalk news, the mystery partner for War Games revealed, Bryan Danielson confirms when he'll stop wrestling full-time, Luke's review of Raw, and more.